Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Begadones here, and welcome back for another episode of Tsukihime Remake, where last time we left off, getting into the meat and potatoes of Ciel's route here. Kind of Shiki kind of had a little bit of his little gamer moments back at home. I get it too, and not as far as he did, but sometimes you just want to lock yourself in your room and kind of freak out a little. That's fine. You can do that. It's just the other stuff, with the Kohawker and all that, and what he did to put his cocker and her Kohawker, heyo, probably not a very good thing to do. Well, actually, now that I say that, it's kind of left ambiguous here in the remake for obvious reasons, because this isn't an adult-only game. I'm pretty sure it's only... Yeah, it's rated M. Peggy 18, all that for all you Euroids. But I'm pretty sure in the original, it was only, oral. And then he, scampered out after he had that moment of clarity after, busting down her throat. Or was it all over her face? I can't really remember the particulars. It's been a long time since I've read Remake. Even longer, the original. And even longer since I read the Ciel route. Because I was towards the beginning, and it took me a while to get through the original. Because I had occasional gaps of a month or two in between the routes, but that's foggy in my head. But the broad sweeping motions of what happened remain. But now that he's kind of had his realization, he's like, I know what I am, and Ciel's like, I know what you are. Her Catholic blood cannot allow him to live. And so she's come to put him down herself in this big dramatic confrontation where I'm pretty sure you could get a couple dead ends and at least one bad end. I remember in particular from the original, with the CG where it's him in his shitty fucking jean jacket and his Mets t-shirt, and they got their knives pointing at each other, but for whatever reason, Ciel's knife is gigantic. It's like a cartoon fucking foam sword that you give a child. It's a little exaggerated in its proportions. But I'm unfamiliar if we're going to get any crazy CG like that. And if we do, God, I hope he left the fucking t-shirt at home. I've harped on it before, but I fucking despise his orange and blue t-shirt. It's just those two colors together. I think they look horrific. Absolute elementary schoolers fucking idea of a crayon drawing. And yes, I say crayon instead of crayon. Get over it. Just the color coordination is... Ugh. I think it just looks bad. But what about me? Because that's what you guys are really here for. Not whatever's going on in the background here. How was my day? How was my day yesterday? To be more specific, because that's probably when this should have been recorded and uploaded. Because I actually can't really remember when the last time I put up a video was, whether it was 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Yeah, it's kind of all blending together. That's due to me flipping back to a day shift schedule after working a night shift schedule for a couple days, and my circadian rhythm's fucked. I wasn't feeling good yesterday. I came home and I had a fever. My cheeks were flushed red. My fucking hemorrhoids were acting up, and I know for a fact it was the hemorrhoids. I'll spare you the gory details, but they were not making me feel good yesterday. And I was in a state yesterday. To the point where I was in bed at 6:30 and I was asleep by 8. I just wanted to lie in bed with the heated blanket over my stomach like I was dealing with fucking period cramps and relax and not have to do anything. And let me tell you, sitting around doing this yesterday would have been bad for you and me, particularly me. For the aforementioned hemorrhoids, sitting did not feel very good. But I seem to have mostly recovered today. I'm a little tired. That's just because I was just at work. And work sucks. I know you'll be at my show because you're here watching, waiting, subscribing and ringing the notification bell down below. Ding. But yeah. It's just one of those days. Probably going to be one of those days for a couple days in a row this week. It doesn't help that it was really cloudy and kind of drizzly this morning, so I couldn't see the sun when I woke up. You know, there was no light coming through my window, so I was just exhausted, and you know how it is. You know how it is. I am an animal that rises and sets with the sun, which makes the winter particularly rough on me. But you're not here to hear me bitch and moan about my circadian rhythm and how I can't sleep and the blood coming out of my asshole. You're here to hear me talk as the characters in the game are talking, and I'm talking over them because you want to hear me so much more than whatever they're saying. And you want to hear me mispronounce things, and want to hear me skip over crucial plot details and not internalize things, or maybe internalize the wrong things and get misconceptions about what's happening, and go off on weird tangents that immediately get not rectified, disproven 5 minutes later, and I just look like an idiot for wasting your time and mine. So that's what we'll do. We'll get into it right now, any second now, after I tell you how this is going to go. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 dead ends in a row, probably within the next hour and a half. But we're going to save those till we get to whatever scene happens after this. I think it's the one where Shiki goes and he stirs her fucking curry pot back at her room after they kind of fight, kiss, and they make up. And somehow, through the power of anal sex, it calms down Roa's spirit for some reason. I don't know. I forget the mechanics of how it works, but somehow it does. And then things happen later, and then the route ends, and then he goes out with Arcuid while Ciel sits in the cuck chair in the corner. And that's Ciel Good End. And I think there is... I don't want to call it a good end. There's the end of this route, and then there's an extra ending, which... Oh, what does it say down here? Must complete Ciel normal first. In addition, you need to have amount of Arcuid points. Okay, so it is the good end for the original, but probably not exactly the same, because I know a lot of people didn't like it, and that led to Ciel being the bottom-ranked heroine for most of the polls, I think. I think in the first one, she, squeaked in at, number 3 or 4, but in all subsequent heroine polls, she bottomed out. Or maybe it was the other way around. I can't remember. I'm remembering visual novel character poll data that's 25 years old. Cut me some slack. But we're closing in on the 10-minute mark, so let's get the ball rolling. I've warmed up enough. I got the mojo flowing by just yapping into the mic and wasting your time. So let's maybe not dodge forward into the spike that's coming towards our chest, and maybe go away from it. I know, crazy tactical concept. I leap backwards. Sensing danger, I decide to retreat. Oh man, off to a great start. Doesn't help that I'm a little stuffy. Hold on, give me a sec. Oh, I can't mute my mic. I gotta click on OBS. I miss having that mute function. Wrong button. Ugh, a little post-nasal drip. In a single bound, I put several meters between us. I'm the only one who's surprised. Ciel's face is impassive as she pursues me, bayonet at the ready. It took a little while to load there. I'm like, oh, did my controller die? Did I misclick? No. Just such a graphically intense scene. It needs to load it like it's an old pre-rendered cutscene. I break through the edge of the crater, where a slope of debris leads up to the ground level. It's terrifying how agile I've become. speed through the air like a bullet. At this pace, there's no way she can catch me. And then abruptly, I stop. No signal from my brain, no obstruction. Not even inertia is responsible. My body simply halts in place. I urge myself forward, but my legs won't listen. Nor can I turn my body. The soles of my feet are rooted to the earth. No. Oh yeah, her little shadow stitch thing. Still facing forward, I turn my head around, and I see the black key stuck in the rubble behind me. Its thin blade, neatly pinning my shadow, must be keeping me glued to the ground. No! I strain to move my legs, but they won't budge a single millimeter. The image of a dog caught in a bear trap comes to mind. Like in a haunting ground? Is that the one with the with the cute girl and the dog that shows up in Resident Evil 4? Hey, it's that dog. And he helps you fight the ogre. I remember watching playthroughs of that way back when. I never played it myself, but it seems like a good game. As I struggle in vain. Classic PS2 survival horror games. The bow of the church arrives.
体まで吸血鬼化しているあなたを外に出すわけにはいきません。ここでその魂を断罪します。
I'm not sure if you can do that, according to dogma. Like, ain't that God's job? But who knows? I'm no expert on theological? I think that's right. Because someone who studies religion would be a theologian, so... Anyway, neither here nor there. Her stake driver rears back for the killing blow. Not wanting to provoke her prey, perhaps, the executor slips smoothly out of my field of view. Ow. With a whisper almost too quiet to hear, she presses her gun to my vampire heart and pulls the trigger on her censure. Oh, wait, or was that... Oh, dodge backwards is how you get the dead end. Oops! Oops. Alright, I guess we'll start off with one dead end, and then we'll move forward through, saving them all for the end. The report rings through my bones like a church bell. Blood from my pulverized organs sprays out of my mouth. Chunky. Like Campbell's soup. A blast of light cleaves my brain in two. And in my last moments, I see an old book within me, its pages scattering as I fade away. Yeah, I guess even though she is in her powered Ciel mode with her big old pile bunker, she's still at heart a ranged spam character. So it makes sense you'd kind of want to get, inside her reach and kind of mess her up a little. It also says that this is Doobie's Hint 17, but in the guide it says it's 16. Interesting. Yes, teach us, Miss Ciel. Teach us about frame data and how we were, at a disadvantage there. And how we should play footsies in neutral instead. Yeah, Arkwood would never do something so cruel as this. Mm-hmm.
主人公におかれましてはあと 2,3 回くらい。ちょっとコンビニ行くくらいの気持ちでデッドエンドを迎えていただければ。
Yeah, we'll be in and out several times here today.
そうですね。 経
You
験
know,
に
once
敵
on the
に
way
背
to
中を
work,
見せ
once
て
for
はいけ
lunch,
ま
and
せ
then
ん。
once on the way home from work, and later at night when you can't sleep, you go up and you go again.
撤退するならせめて相手の体勢くらいは崩しておきましょう。
Yep, can't escape.
ガラ空きの背中なんてただの的ですから、スピードで負けているならなおさらです。
Yeah, but he's like the
戦
fast
闘経
character.
験は相手の方が圧倒的に上なので、ここは奇抜な発想。
Like, Powered Ciel seems like... I actually don't know the melty meta, but she seems like a character that would play on, like, Half Moon or Full Moon, and, you know, Shiki's the kind of guy who'd play on,
あるいは決死の選択で立ち向かって
Crescent
く
Moon
ださ
or
い。
whatever it's called.
大丈夫。ここを切り抜ければきっとチャンスはありますよ。
I see 3 lines of red text on my screen off to the side, so I don't know about that, Ciel.
この圧倒的戦力差ですげえこと言ってんな、このインド。生きろ、メガネ。
We need to get meta with the build here. We need like the Phoenix materia. We need the one that lets you do an action as like when you hit 0 HP, which you then use for the Phoenix materia to revive with full HP, and then I don't know, stick on Knights of the Round or something for massive damage. Unless she's oh god, which weapon is it that actually gets fucking pissed if you use Knights of the Round and it makes it even harder? Yeah, we dodge forward. From my low slung stance, I break into a desperate sprint. I can't turn around. My every impulse tells me that if I do, I'll find my heart skewered before I can blink. Also, when I read dodge backwards, I didn't know he would turn around and just like book it. I thought he'd do like a vampire jump while still facing her, but no, he literally made the mistake. One of the worst mistakes you can do, just give your enemy your back. The barrel of her weapon just avoids grazing my head. Being so close and low saves my life. Diving beneath the mouth of her stake driver by a hair's breadth, I shift my weight onto the side just until my foot hits the ground. Correct course, or crash straight into her? While I briefly consider tackling her to the ground, I reject the idea. If she's strong enough to lift all that weight by herself, pulling her into a wrestling match would be suicidal. Instead, I angle myself sideways, just beneath her arm. As I pass by her side, she suddenly becomes a blur. For a moment, she seems to disappear entirely. She plants her foot down hard and wrenches her weapon's immense weight into a horizontal sweep. It beats the air into submission with a brain-rattling boom. An instant later, I find myself launched a dozen meters backwards into a mound of rubble. She lets out a dissatisfied tut as she glares at me. My left arm aches. Looks like dog food. I can't comprehend what I'm seeing. My forearm is bent at an impossible angle, its bones pulverized. And from shoulder to wrist, the flesh of my outer arm has been stripped away, as if worn down by a gigantic file.
首をかばって腕一つですか。何もしなければ今ので楽にしてあげたのに。
Yeah, but it was a sound strategical decision. Can't really knock him for that one. I don't remember doing that. My body must have moved instinctively to cover itself before my brain could catch up. And this is the result. Half my arm shredded, my forearm crushed to powder. It's chilling to see my own body so brutally damaged. What's even more terrifying is that I'm ready to fight on regardless, both mentally and physically.
ナイフ抜かないんですか。
She looks almost bored. I'm no threat to her. Just pray that she can kill at her leisure. The pain from my arm finally makes its way through my nervous system. Feels like my ruptured veins are pumping septic blood straight into my brain. I almost white out from the agony. I guess we are in like a dirty old remnants of a sewer. So, I guess some of that dust getting in the wound could give you sepsis. Might wanna disinfect that. Ciel simply stares at me, cold as ever. You rip off half my arm, and you have nothing to say? Do you have a goddamn clue how much this hurts? Yes, she does, in fact. More than you... Well, I was about to say more than you realize, but no, she told you that she knows, like, every pain, so... How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? I grip my knife tightly in my pocket. I feel the cool hardness of its handle. And with a small shik, I slide out its blade.
バカですかあなたは。
In a fraction of a second, Ciel explodes into nothingness. No, that's not right. She burst into motion, so low slung, practically skimming the rubble, that she vanished from sight until she was right before my eyes, like a lizard slithering across the ground. In the blink of an eye, she closes the 6 meters between us. Even knowing she's there, I still can't process what her body is doing. I reflexively jerk my head backwards, casting my gaze down to her feet as I do. And in the heartbeat that takes, her stake rises from below to skewer my throat with aching precision. Breath bursts from my lungs. Okay, I'm still breathing. What about pain? Can I feel pain? Alright, there it is. And I'm still conscious, more or less. Good, that means you're still alive. I talk about it when I had that nasty snowboard crash. That's what I did. Once I, recombobulated. It's like, okay, I hurt, which is good, but does it hurt in particular anywhere? Yes, my arm, okay. Let's narrow it down. Is it broken? No? Alright, cool, we can keep going. Now, what about the rest of my body? Black blood sprays across the rubble. I trace it back to the gaping hole in my left shoulder. Only then do I realize what just happened. Ciel missed my neck and speared my shoulder instead. Ooh! Man, you got stabbed in the shoulder a lot this round, with Vlov's icicles, this, some other gobbledygook probably. Pain. Pain so sickening I don't even recognize it as pain. I guess the shock's good in this scenario, at least. But I'm still alive. Against all odds. I'm in one piece. I've bought myself some distance. The acrid smell of gunpowder rises from my shoulder. She must have pulled the trigger as her bayonet struck home. The blast would have then launched me backwards, opening up some space between us.
2度続くということは偶然ではありませんね。その出血でもショック死しないということは精神だけでなく肉体まで変態済みなのでしょう。
Yeah, that's fair. These are two, horrific wounds. Mass hemorrhaging, really bad. Clank. The tip of her weapon drops to the ground. The stake that pierced my shoulder dissolves into pages and scatters to the wind. Yeah, but it's packed together really hard. It's like you get paper really wet. That's nonsense. But that nonsense almost killed me. So horrific, I could drop to the ground right here and beg for forgiveness. My shoulder's on fire. Searing pain threatens to devour my whole body. I feel like my bones are being roasted to ash. Some nice cooked marrow, yum. His voice rises in my head. telling me that the torture device she wields is toxic to the touch. I'm a dead man walking. Mortality won't save me. She's gonna kill me no matter what I do. My brain flickers with terror, pain, confusion, anxiety. Is it death itself I'm afraid of? Someone else inflicting it? The pain that will accompany it? Or the weapon that will deliver it? So terrible that the sight alone makes me want to cry and plead for dispensation? I'll just pretend I know what that word means and move on. I don't know. All attention is consumed by the executor's cold eyes and the monstrous implement in her hands. She pulls the slide back with a crisp click. She loads another round, then readies her weapon once more. I should be dead twice over. Surviving 2 hits from that thing is a miracle. A third would be too much to hope for. I picture the muzzle leveled at my face, the squeeze of the trigger, the iron spike blasting through the back of my skull. The thought of it is not so much terrifying as disgusting. Death is always demeaning, vulgar, grotesque, no matter what form it takes. My life is precious. I don't want to subject it to that. Is that the root of my fear? I don't know. I can only deride my lack of an answer. Though through all the death I've seen, I've never spared a thought for the canker it exudes. I concern myself only with death, never with the process of dying. But there are worse terrors, such as a life spent in perpetual fear of death, never realizing that being blown to bits would be a mercy by comparison. The pain in my shoulder drags me back to reality. None of that matters right now. I have to get out of here. If I want to live, I have to focus on finding a way to...
メガネ外さないんですか?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're not really taking this serious, bud. Also, I'm surprised they didn't get blown off of you, considering you've gone flying through the air multiple times. An astonished grunt escapes my lips. Why on earth would she be asking me that? If I take off my glasses, I'll be able to see her lines of death. And if I do that, there's a chance, however minuscule, that I could kill her.
何を言うんですか、先輩は。
Her eyes burn with anger. Anger hot enough to set the very air ablaze.
付き合っていられません。いいですから。もう死んでください。
She drops down low. Here she comes. It's obvious she means to dash at me again, but she moves so fast I can barely see her. My only option is to run. Fortunately, we're further apart this time. If I sprint as fast as I can take cover in the rubble. With the collapsed masonry blocking her line of sight, I'll be able to find somewhere to hide. There's not much left of the underground cathedral, but some of the surrounding passages are still intact. Time to move, if I can just make it. Oof! Owie, my bones! My back. Something is lodged in my back. I slump face first to the ground. So close. Just a little further and I would have made it. I push myself to my feet with one hand. One of the executor's needle-like swords has impaled me. I wrench it free. In a fit of rage, I drag it out through my chest. Ugh! Ugh! You pull the T handle through your back? Or did that snap off? Luckily, the wound has gone numb, so there's no pain to endure.
Yes.
Now I can get to safety.
逃げてどうするつもりですか、トーナ君。
But before I can move, her voice rings out from behind me.
まだわからないんですか。あなたは今どのくらいの速さで走ったと思っているんです。あなたは箱の中のマウスと変わらない。なのにまだ 何から逃げ出そうと言うんですか？
I mean, the whole world's a big box. There's just cheese over there, and you're like the rat poison, so. I look down at the blades I pulled out of myself. The hole in my chest isn't even bleeding. I really have lost my last shreds of humanity. My mind goes white. Don't let her trick you. Don't let her trick you. She's only ever tried to deceive you. Don't listen to a word she says. You're as good as dead. Ignore her. Even if she's telling the truth, it doesn't matter. Just shut it all out. It's your only chance.
もうどこにも逃げ場なんてないんです。
My internal monologue when she's trying to slide back into my DMs at 2 in the morning, and I have to convince myself not to respond.
あなたには戦うか殺されるかの道しかない。けれど、戦うことができないのなら、あとはもう死ぬしかない。
Crunch, crunch, crunch. My executioner approaches, her footsteps deliberately loud.
せめてあがいたらどうですか？私を殺せば一日は生きながらえる。そんなありえない希望を見ながら、無様に死ぬのがあなたにはお似合
Yeah,
いで
it's
す。
the rules of nature.
今さら格好つけなくていいですよ。あなたは無邪気に目の前の餌に飛びついて自滅するんですから。ほら、学校ではいつだってそうしていたでしょ？
Yeah, he does try to do that to you at school, but not in this way.
やめろって言ってるだろ。
Kind of different than what this is. I leap into the air. Even with my arm mangled, one shoulder punctured, my back impaled, I feel light as a feather. At a speed to match hers, I launch myself 20 meters up to the side of the crater and come down, breathing hard in a ruined building. I run. No time to think. I just run blindly, trying to get away. But I can't go much further. My lungs cry for air. My arm is hanging on by a thread. Probably literally. Just the tendon making like rubber band noises as he's running, just boing, boing, boing. My leg catches on something, sending me tumbling to the ground. The hole in my back is fully healed, but my left arm and shoulder are still mangled. Your stake driver must have done something to them. Yeah, you suffered holy damage, dude. You're a vampire. I can think of no solutions, no countermeasures. All I know is that the left side of my body has stopped functioning. I try to push myself up one-handed, but only end up falling comedically on my face. I roll into my back, an inch across the ground until I reach the wall. Sitting upright is as much as I can manage before I run out of strength. I lift my chin, exposing my throat, and gulp down air.
Tsuki.
Moonlight filters down through a gap in the wall. This must be the price of forcing my body and mind past their limits. In the moonlit haze, everything seems a shell of itself. Ah, now I see. Whether I'm Ro or not hardly matters in the end. Either way, I'm just an empty husk. Just a nameless nobody from who knows where that someone labeled Shikitono. A bolt of pain shoots through my shoulder. Maybe. If I had been as sure as... too many words. If I had been as sure of myself as I am sure of this pain, perhaps things wouldn't have come to this. For as long as I can remember, I thought I was Shikitono. But I'm not. Not really. I'm just some unidentified child who took his place. That isn't particularly tragic in and of itself. It's no basis for hatred or regret. The real tragedy is my lack of a single memory from my old life before the Tonos took me in. No, worse than a tragedy, it's a farce. After all, it only goes to show that I was never really anyone at all. High in the night sky, The moon shines alone. How strange. Why didn't I notice it before? Just how beautiful.
けど笑うのはちょっと難しい。
Oh, sorry, keep going, bud. It must be a farce, but it's a poor comedy. Did my life mean anything at all in the end? Even now, on the verge of disappearing, don't have the slightest idea who I was. What a sick joke. Everything's a haze now. What a sick joke. A world filled with death. A vision filled with death. A day 7 years ago. Master set me off on the path to a normal life. I still think our meeting was worthwhile.
でもさ、先生、俺は生きてちゃいけない人間だったみたいだ。
Nah, you're pretty hopeless. When it comes down to it, I ought to kill myself now, while I still have the capacity for such thoughts. But I can't. I can't take my own life. Shameless and wrong as it may be, I want to live. If I die, I'll be making liars of us both. So no matter how sinful it is, no matter what it costs me, I want to live. If only Ciel had stayed by my side, I would have been willing to lose everything else. That's the only reason I've held out this long, but now my suffering is finished. It's been 6 years, though now I'm not sure if that's too long or not long enough.
嘘つき。
I'd rather she'd said nothing than that. Thank you, Tono. I finally fulfilled my duty. All I have left to do is tie up a few loose ends.
嘘つき。
Now, perhaps there was a grain of truth at the bottom of it all. She might have misled me, but never once. Thank you, truly, for everything you've done. Shall we shake hands one last time? It's been a long while since I felt this happy.
嘘つき。
Never once did she lie to me. Try not to be too mean to Inui in my absence. I wish I could keep pretending to be a high schooler like the two of you. The Ciel I knew never existed. But her smile, at least, was real. Or so I believed. Still, there's no denying reality. Her whole persona was a fiction, crafted to bring her within killing range of her target. She tricked me. She'd never forgiven me for a second. Her saving me when I had nowhere else to go. Whiling away the hours with me at school. It was all just to confirm that I was Roa. I clenched my jaw. My molars grind together at the back of my mouth.
畜生。
Don't do that, it reminds me of when my tooth broke. I claw at the wall in regret. Yes, she deceived you. She calculated her every action to get close to you.
それなのに。
Cause girl. I claw at the wall in sadness. Ah, in spite of it all,
俺は先輩を憎めない。
cause she's pretty. It's hard to hate pretty girls. How could I? Whether or not it was real to her, I enjoyed our time together. Nothing can take that away from me. Not even 2 weeks have passed since we met, but I've never felt so happy to be alive.
畜生。
I don't know, bud, have you ever, like, drunk 3 beers in, like, 2 minutes and then smoked a cigarette? That makes you feel pretty happy to be alive, too. In the end, it was all in my head. My eyelids grow heavy. My chest burns, not with hatred or anger, but with regret. The world blurs around me. Up and above, the moon shines a dazzling white. A sea of silence amidst the gray rubble. Softly, it wavers in the night air. Nothing is real. It's all an illusion I can never touch. A fleeting mirage, forever out of reach. Dry footsteps sound across the seabed. The moonlight casts my executioner's shadow across the broken earth. My back is against the wall, literally and figuratively. I only have seconds before she finds me. At least I've got things straight in my head now. So, now that that's settled...
殺すか
My voice doesn't sound like my own. If you don't want to die, kill her. If you think you're in the right, murder her. Do it. Dismember her. Dissect her. Cut her. Tear her. Slash her. Rip her. Stab her. Gut her. Do it. 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 All right, Anaya, calm down. A mixture of him and Roa, I guess. They're kind of like taking turns at the wheel. I really don't have much longer. My brain is starting to scramble again. But I still don't want to die. Which means there's only one thing I can do. The footsteps are getting louder. My moment of judgment is fast approaching. Aren't you going to take off your glasses? She knew exactly what she was asking when she said that. So don't do it because we're saving the bad ends for later. I think. Let me double check. Yeah. She knew what she was asking, but what's my answer?
できる
I lift my trembling fingers to my glasses.
できるわけないだろそんなまね
A self-destructive impulse seizes me. I hurl the object in my hand away with all my might. Somewhere in the darkness, hard metal clatters on stone. But the world remains free of lines. It was my knife that I cast away. My glasses remain on my head, where they'll stay until I die. But I can't trust myself to keep hold of my knife. I can't shake the sense that a fate worse than death would await me if I did. Finally, she comes. She's still clutching that monstrous weapon, her eyes empty, but we don't draw it in the sprite because it would probably take up too much real estate on the screen and be visually distracting. Her feet come to a stop in front of me. She could end this now if she wanted, and yet she doesn't. We only stare blankly at each other.
一つ聞きますけど、
The tip of her bayonet points towards my chest.
どうしてメガネを外さなかったんです？どうしてただの一度も私と戦おうとしなかったんです？
どうしてって不思議でもなんでもない
Mm-hmm. Didn't even cross my mind.
そんなひどいこと先輩にはできないだろ
愚かにも程がある。
Yeah, you know, they kind of displayed it in that first dead end there. You know, we can't win this fight outright, which means it's one of those JRPG battles where it's an endurance fight. You just got to last for so many turns or reach a certain criteria and then you win. You know, quote unquote win by surviving somehow. Whether plot events happen and that let you get away or something else, you get reinforcements, you know. We're just emotionally wearing you down until you cave, and we win that way. If we can't beat you physically, we're just gonna gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss you into submission.
私はあなたを殺すんですよ。私はあなたの先輩なんかじゃない。すべて嘘だったって、あれだけ言ってまだわからないんですか、あなたは。
She almost spits out the words. Her face remains composed, but her body shudders with rage and
知
irritation.
ってる先輩はずっと俺を騙してきたシエル先輩なんていう人は初めから癒しなかったんだって分かってる
分かっているならどうして。
いいんだ
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. Yeah.
先輩が嘘でも関係ない俺はすごく楽しかった先輩と過ごした時間は先輩にとってはどうでもいい時間だったかも
Yeah,
し
yeah,
れ
yeah.
ないけど
Hit her with the emotional combo.
俺にとっては大切だった
Yeah. She brought me something I never should have had. Something I'd lost sight of in my fear of the future, of death. An utterly mundane bit of happiness that I'd given up on long ago. And I'm okay with that. The girl I loved might have been a fabrication, but the salvation she brought me was very real.
だからいいんだ。
These 2 weeks have been the best days of my life. If I let hatred sour them now, I really will have lost everything. Just because they weren't real to Ciel doesn't make them false. Oh god, we're getting into like fucking unlimited blade work shit here. And as long as they mean something to me, they'll always be half true. It isn't a lot to die for, but if my life is the price, then so be it.
そんなことのために命を投げ捨てるんですか？
そっか。やっぱり小さいかな。
Nope. Fucking not worth 2 pennies to rub together. But it's the second most important thing I can think of. I rack my brain, but I can only think of one other thing I want.
私、いろいろな人を見てきましたけど。
She takes a step closer.
あなたほどバカな人は初めてでした。
Yeah, a lot of them probably tried to scrap it out. She places the barrel of her gun over my heart. But she doesn't pull the trigger. I wonder what's stopping her. She stares at me with hollow eyes. I've seen this same emotionless gaze several times now. Enough to know that it doesn't mean she's heartless. It's just that, when push comes to shove, she can't avert her eyes from reality. So her only choice is to suppress her own emotions. She's right. I really am an idiot. Only now am I realizing that it's herself, not me, that this expression is meant to fool.
忘れていました。
Yeah, you just trick yourself into
最後に懺
disassociating.
悔
I
を
do
聞い
that
て
for
お
the
かな
hard
いとい
stuff
け
too.
ません。私、
I mentioned,
これでも
oh,
神
sorry,
職です
Ciel,
から
I'll let you talk. Yeah, do we gotta do. But that's my go-to method for stress and I don't know. I don't want to say trauma avoidance because that makes it sound more severe than it is. But you know what? I will say it. That's my emotional trauma response is to just disassociate and distance myself emotionally and put up walls and shields to protect my psyche and my heart. So I get it, CL.
そうですか。懺悔なんてないけど、一つだけ聞いていいかな。
はい。手短にお願いします。
うん、すぐ済む。どうして先輩はそんなに泣きそうな顔をしてるのかなって。
Because she's working at like 3 in the morning, I'd be sad too. She reacts with surprise. I sense the slightest tremble.
私は泣いてなんていません。
Her face is a vision of cold denial. But I cock my head in confusion. There's no denying the evidence in my
泣き
eyes.
そうな顔に見える。どうしてかわからないけど。
それはあなたの錯覚です。私は何も感じていませんから。
Just a trick of the moonlight.
私にある感情は人間として死にたいというものだけです。それ以外の感情なんてない。
Your answer makes me desperately sad. How ironic. Now, at the very end, I can see right through her.
ひどいな。最後まで先輩は俺に嘘をつくのか。
Yeah, that lie was paper thin. No reply. Her body goes still, as though she's frozen over.
あなたこそ嘘をついてる。ここで私に殺されることが望みなんて思ってはいないでしょう。
Nope. But, sometimes you gotta do things you don't want.
当然だろ、そんなの。死んだら何もないじゃないか。一応経験があるから、それぐらいは分かってる。 本音を言えば生きていたいけど、ただ生きているのはもうダメらしくて。
Well, yeah. In this universe, it's kind of complicated to say what's on the other side. What you see is like a true oblivion, you know, nothingness, return to not even zero, but the void. So, yeah, from the other side, you see it's literally nothing. But from Nasuverse lore, it depends. That's right. I'm all out of options. Even if I somehow got out of this crater alive, there's no hope waiting for me on the outside. All the remains of Shikitono would soon disappear, and the tragedy of 13 years ago would play out again in Soya. But that's not what hurts the most. It's that I would have to live without Ciel. That, more than anything else, I couldn't bear.
今まですごく楽しかったんだ、先輩。有彦と俺と先輩でバカな話をしているときは悪くなかった。ただの休み時間でも先輩が来てくれるだけで夢みたいに。
And that's not just the brainwashing talking. All I want is to have that back, even though I'll never see it come to pass.
俺はずっとあのままの時間が続いてほしかった。
As the words pass my lips, a deep peace comes over me. Might have only been an illusion. Might have never been more than a distant mirage. But what is a mirage if not dearer for being more beautiful than reality? I'm far beyond anyone's help. Still, if I can die with that dream in my heart, perhaps that will be some kind of salvation. Idiotic, she whispers. Her gun shifts slightly in her hands. With a metallic creak, she presses harder against my chest. Just a little more. A fingernail's breadth and a little drop of blood. And she takes one step forward. And this will all be over. But she stays where she is. Her unfeeling eyes bore into mine over the barrel of her gun. She bites her lip, hard.
そっか。
Must be difficult with me staring back at her. I don't want to see her like this any longer myself. Maybe I can make things a little easier for her. I close my eyes and wait for the cold bite of steel. My heart pounds in my chest. Even my newfound acceptance isn't enough to dispel my sickness and my chills. My throat burns. My fingers tremble uncontrollably. Death at her hands is probably the best conclusion I can hope for, but I guess I'm a coward to the end. I try my best to still my breathing. One easy 10-centimeter thrust, and I'll be nothing more than a lifeless sack of meat. My brain, tethered on the brink of madness, teetering on the brink of madness. My sharpened senses, my regenerating body. Everything tells me that my humanity is long gone. Should have known this was coming, yet my heart is shuddering in fear. Wonder if there will be anything left of it once this is over. I keep my eyes closed and try to hold myself still. It'll probably hurt when the stake goes in. Terrified as I am, feeling nothing at all, not even fear, seems somehow even worse. Sweat beads on my forehead. Every fiber in my being is focused on not making a sound. I'll go quietly and cleanly into death. Hopefully, that will spare her some guilt. Or you'll be like that guy, I can't remember who it was. It's some famous anecdote of, I don't know, it was a poet, some scientist, politician, I don't know, someone. who they said these really nice final words, and the doctor went to like poke them with something to like help them along the way, and they went like, ah, fuck, and that ended up being their last words. I hear a breath,
どうして
a strained whisper,
どうしてそんな
the spike against my chest wavers.
私を恨まないでいられるんですか
No, not the spike. The waver is in her voice.
私はあなたを殺そうとしているんですよ。騙して裏切ってこうして残酷に追い詰めているのに、なんでそんな穏やかな顔してるんですか、あなたは。
Because he kind of already worked through it surprisingly quickly, but Ciel takes a step forward, but her bayonet stays put.
答えなさい。私はあなたを殺すんです。あなたの都合なんて関係なく、ただ一方的に殺そうとしているんです。ならせめて私を恨まないとあなたは報われないじゃないですか。
I don't know, man. Seems like you're more saying this for yourself than him. Her fiery voice goads me. It's not fair. Just about made peace with my fear. This might cause me to break down.
それとも本当にバカなんですか、
Oh, yes, he
あなたは。
He's very stupid, in fact.
私はあなたを汚らわしい吸血鬼として処理するんです。
I mean, that's kind of what he is. I mean, maybe not a common vampire. In fact, he's a very rare specialty vampire. A high class, top shelf. But still.
なのにどうして。
Why? I thought we'd been over this already.
だってそれは先輩のせいじゃないだろう。
Mm-hmm. You know, the famous words, shikatanai. Can't do nothing about it. Can't be helped. The tip of her bayonet pierces my skin. A wet warmth blossoms across my chest. Ugh. Don't like grind it against his sternum. Ugh. Sparks burst in the flesh of my every muscle, in the marrow of my every bone. All the headaches I've ever had pale next to this. My wound is shallow, but the corrosive touch of the seventh holy scripture flays my mind alive. Ow.
痛いでしょ。本来なら無痛で消してあげられるのに、こうしてわざとあなたを苦しめているんです。
Yeah, it kind of sucks for you to do that.
今まであなたに付き合わされた分、こうでもして楽しまないと帳尻が合いませんから。
Her voice cracks as she speaks. The bayonet digs deeper into my flesh. Sweat erupts from every pore in my body. I think my organs might spew from my mouth.
ほら、私が憎いでしょ。だから早く恨んでください。私に裏切られたって、私なんか信用しなければよかったって言ってください。そうでないと私、あなたを殺すことができないじゃないですか。
Yeah, then I'd actually have to become the monster I keep telling you that I am. I hear desperation in her shaking voice. This all seems so backwards. Shouldn't she be relieved that I'm not holding anything against her? Why is she so intent on being hated? It's like she needs to make herself the villain, as though she thinks that's her punishment. Well, you know, it's one thing if the person that you've wronged, there's like kind of mutual disdain there, because then it's like, fuck that guy. He sure got what was coming to him. But if it's someone that doesn't really hold anything against you, it's kind of like, oh man, now I'm the asshole, and I don't like that. That makes me feel bad. She's like a child on the verge of tears. I can't bear to add to her burdens.
まさか先輩を恨むことなんてできない。
やめてください。なんで最後までそんなことを言うんですか。悪いのは私で、あなたは被害者だって言うのに。
I mean, you're not wrong. She's just as much victim as I am. However this turns out, I don't have long before Roa takes control. I have to kill him before that can happen, before I can repeat Ciel's mistake. And if the only way is to die myself, then that's what I'll do.
いいんだ。先輩は悪くないよ。
I mean, it's not like victims can't become the abuser. It just because you're a victim doesn't absolve you of any and all kind of repercussions. What's the word I'm thinking here? Responsibility. There's another word I can't think of. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't formulate it in my like frontal cortex, which I think is the part of the brain that is responsible for speech, or maybe that's like deeper in. We'll just stick with responsibility for now, because that's close enough.
それよりごめん。こんな役目を先輩に押し付けて。
I guess agency for your own action is another thing I'm thinking of. But I want to say there's a word that kind of lumps that all together. But just stop, she whispers as the metal pressure on my chest withdraws a fraction of an inch.
私はロアを見逃すことなんてできない。
Her bayonet sways, but I'm sure it will steady soon.
そんなこと許されないんです、遠野くん。
The seventh holy scripture settles over my heart. I hear Ciel draw in a deep breath. Even with my eyes closed, I can feel her finger squeezing the trigger. A metallic click announces my end. But in the instant before it
ありが
comes,
とう。たとえ嘘でも、先輩が先輩でいてくれてよかった。
I leave behind my last and dearest testament. I hear a voice. It's racked with sobbing. Inconsolable wailing, like you might hear from a child. Damn, Ciel could not put down Ol Yeller. Metal drops to the floor with a clang. A hole in the wall shows where a stake missed its mark. The voice finally manages to rein itself in. I slowly open my eyes, knowing who it belongs to. The person before me isn't the Ciel of moments ago. She's just an ordinary girl, lost and alone, with tears trickling down her downcast face. Her hands are empty. Her weapon lies abandoned on the ground. The round that should have pierced my heart grazed my flank instead. Ciel cries and cries. Her shoulders heave with pained sobs.
先輩。
I call out to her.
ずるい。遠野くんはずるい。あんなことを言うなんてずるいです。なんで私なんかを。
She struggles? She struggles to speak through her tears.
できない。私自分だっていつでも殺せるのに、あんなこと言われたらできない。
Yeah, it's easy to hurt yourself because, you know, in your own mind, you deserve it. It's your own fault. It's what you get. But, you know, hurting other people's hard. She covers her face with her hands.
ありがとうなんて、そんな幸せな人を死なせるなんてやだ。
As though she's too ashamed to look at me.
先輩、そんなに泣かれると困る。
Yeah, you're an adult. Take control of your emotions. You need to calm down. Or I'll just feel even more helpless. That must have been the wrong thing to say. She lets out a wail and starts sobbing even harder.
も
But not too close. I don't want you to get snot all over me. This is my nice coat. This is no time to be second-guessing myself. Seized by the urge to comfort her, I take her arm and pull her close. Hey, there we go. It's kind of a remake of this CG. She collapses into my chest and cries into my shirt.
なさい。
Over and over, she repeats these words. Who'd have thought? It was the cold, unfeeling Ciel who was the fake. Now, finally, I've met the real one. It hasn't been an hour since I dialed her number, but it feels like I've been waiting for her forever.
謝らなくていいんだ、先輩。
I wrap an arm around her, simply wanting to hold her. You know, a singular arm, because the other one's still fucking dog meat hanging on from my shoulder. Her voice is like a taut bowstring finally snapping. At last, she collects herself enough to stop crying. A dull thumping pounds in my ears. Our two heartbeats seem to merge into one. It's so quiet, but there's no need for words. It's enough to stay like this, listening to the beating of her heart. I only had one other desire. Perhaps the smallest thing I could have possibly wished for. I just wanted Ciel to remain the person I loved.
先輩の体、あったかい。
違います。あったかいのはトノ君の方で。
Yeah, it's probably the blood all over him that's still warm.
嫌になるぐらい冷たい人間です。
You better pay for the dry cleaning for this coat.
こんなに優しい人に。
There's only so
ひどいことを
much
しました。
Hisu and Kohaku can do to, like, get this blood out. No, Ciel. I'm not as kind as you think. Even now, all I want is to feel you. I want to forget about the rest of the world and stay here forever, with you all to myself.
いいです。
Well, yeah, I get the feeling, but she does
俺
look
はまだ
soft.
生きているんだから、それでいいんです。もう、こうしていられるなら、それでいいんだ。
Once, long ago, I nearly died. And I woke to a world too hideous to bear. A world filled with death. As far as the eye could see. Full of fragile things that might break at any moment. But now I know that fragility is what makes life so miraculous. I can feel it now, in the warmth of Ciel's touch. It's far more than a dead man like me could ever hope for.
先輩、俺、先輩がすごく大切だ。
トノ君？
I love her. This girl is more precious to me than my own life. I never want to make her cry again. I want her life to be full of joy that she'll smile for real.
俺はやっぱり死にたくない。ギリギリまで生きて、こうして先輩と一緒にいたい。だから。
It's selfish and naive, but I'll say it anyway. To help us both finally wipe our slates clean.
俺はもう逃げない。自分から死のうなんて考えない。だから、お願いします、先輩。どうか、俺がロアに勝てる手助けをしてください。
Yeah, you can just kind of like chain them up with, you know, modified black keys or something and send them in for soul surgery.
大きく出ましたね。ロアを倒すではなく、ロアに勝利するですか。それは今まで誰もできなかったことですよ。
Yeah, well, you've never gotten in on the ground floor early enough to kind of talk to the person before they get moved to the back seat and kind of get them on board to help.
賞賛なしで大口を叩いてるのも承知の上です。でも、そうしないともう先輩といられないんだから、やるしかないです。
And who knows, at the very least, maybe the barely agency in the church will be on board because it gives them a chance to get hands-on study of a live dead apostle ancestor up close and personal.
どんな無茶でもですか。
はい。俺が死ぬ以外の手段があるなら、 今はそれにかけてみたい。
Oh, it'll probably hurt like a son of a
Oh,
bitch,
yeah.
though.
ありますよ。私にもわからないけど、きっとあります。
She steps closer. Her hand squeezed tight around mine.
あなたがロアと戦うというのなら、私も諦めません。大丈夫。聖堂教会だって無駄に2000年も続いていません。教会中をひっくり返せば、きっと他の手段が見つかるはずです。
Yeah, you must have built up some favors you can call in over the years.
まあ、遠野くんが私の言うことを何でも聞いてくれるならという条件はつきますが。
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Oh, that's one hell of an asterisk to tack on. Well, whatever. I'm just glad she's back to her usual self.
何ですかそれ。そんなに無茶なことばっかりなんですか、教会って。
まあ、時と場合によっては大変な難病ですので、患者さんはお医者さんの判断を信じて
Gotta
くれ
take
な
your
いと話に
medicine,
なりません。
even if it's bitter.
そういうことなら問題ないですね。何があっても先輩が好きですから、俺。
そうですか。奇
Even
遇
if
で
that
すが、
medicine turns out to be like
私
suppository
も
the size of
同
an
じですの
ostrich
で
egg.
信頼関係はバッチリですね。
Wow. Seeing Ciel blush is cuteness overload. I find myself staring intently. In spite of the situation, she's all I can think about. Our faces draw closer. I move my arms around her slender shoulders.
遠野くん。
ごめん先輩。もう我慢の限界だ。
はい。
Her lips seem to draw me in. Faint resistance quickly melts into hesitant acceptance. Our kiss is shallow, but long, as though we're assuring ourselves of each other's affection. Yeah, you don't gotta play tonsil hockey right off the
こんな
bat.
時なのに男の子なんですね。
Hey man, that was pretty mild as far as things go.
本能に忠実だと言ってください。目の前にこんな可愛い人がいたら誰だってこうします。
Ciel turns a deeper shade of red. An urge to pull her even closer seizes me, but this time I manage to hold it back. At this rate, we'll still be here come
と
dawn.
にかく先輩が手助けしてくれるなら100人力です。
Yeah, this ain't exactly the most romantic venue in the world to have a first time. Maybe some people would be into the abandoned, dirty structure that seems like a tetanus trap, but maybe not for a girl like Ciel.
まずは教会に行けばいいんですね。
ええ、本国は無理でもこの国にはいくつかの支部がありますから。でもその前にもっと大きな問題がありました。ロアなんかよりもっと大きな問題が。
And that would be?
ロアより大きな問題ですか。
いいえ、何でもありません。今はここから出ましょう。私のアパートなら少しは遠野くんを楽にしてあげられると思います。
Oh no. This is where the scene happens. When they get back. We're sitting still long enough to regain some of my strength. My wounds are closing. The pain is starting to fade. As unsettling as Roa's alterations to my body are, they're more help than hindrance right now.
はい、そうでした。こちらどうぞ。落とし物ですよ。大事なものなんでしょ。
She produces a metal object. Oh, the knife I threw away. A memento for my father. If that means what I think it means, it's all I have left of the person I used to be.
そうですね。ありがとうございます。
I take it from her hand.
さて、あとは地上に戻るだけですか。今の遠野くんなら一人でも瓦礫を登っていけますよね。
Those church bells? Ciel looks around for where the slope is gentlest. As I watch her, I hear something.
なんだこの音。
I strain my ears to pick up the distant noise. Ciel must have caught it too. The ringing of bells falling softly from the sky. I've heard the sound before, from chapel belfries. The clangor of metal striking metal. It's not altogether uncommon to hear, but only on certain days. What on earth is it doing here now? Christmas is still a long way off. Ciel shoves me aside. An instant later, several blades, long and thin as the post of wrought iron fence, spear her like needles pinning a butterfly.
ふーん。殺すどころか助けるとか意味わかんない。
Change of plans.
ルアに乗り移られた者同士、手を取り合って生きていこうってこと？
A girly voice echoes across the ruined crater. But I don't see anyone amongst the rubble, which means... I look up as I run to Ciel's aid. And there, silhouetted against the sky,
何それ？美談のつもり？
is like a pervert in a really suspect outfit.
そんな身勝手、許されるはずないじゃない。
Is a vampire drenched in gruesome scarlet. I mean, it's more pink. That's like... magenta? Is magenta that bright, vibrant pink? I think it is. Like a butterfly, she perches atop a ruined pillar. She looks like a young girl. Her hair is faded red, and her eyes burn crimson. There's no doubt about it. This is a vampire. Like it or not, we're two of a kind, and as such, I can sense how powerful she is. She's rank 6, a true dead apostle, no longer tied to a sire. A transcendent being free to create her own minions and raise her own army of the dead.
あれ？反応薄くない？タイミング測ったつもりなんだけど、渡したらまた外しちゃったのかな？
She muses theatrically to herself as she looks down at us. It sends chills down my spine. Her mouth is set in a smile, but her eyes seethe with murderous intent, promising we won't get away. Beneath her affected demeanor, she oozes fetid bloodlust from every pore.
まあいっか。取り乱して悲鳴を上げてもらうのは後のお楽しみにすればいいんだし。それより今はこっちの話よね。
Yeah, like introductions.
ほら、早く殺してよ。ルアに汚染された魂は本人の意志が残っていようと例外なく消滅させる。そうでしょ？シエル先輩。
シエル先輩？
She called her by name? Do they know each other?
その姿、使徒に身を委ねたのですね、ノエル。
ノエルって、ノエル先生！
Yeah, have you lost weight? The young girl smiles, but otherwise ignores Ciel. Unthinkable as it is, it must be true. This is the woman I once knew as Noelle, now transformed into a vampire.
そう、ノエル先生よしきくん。見違えた？見違えてくれた？あなたから見たらまるで別人みたいでしょ。
Real different.
でも
A lot shorter.
坂の人にしてみれば驚くことでも何でもないわ。この顔は13年前のあの日の14歳の頃の私だもの。
Ick. A shuffling cacophony closes in around us. Zombies. Not just a handful of them either. They're easily more than 30, crawling down the crater on their bellies, like a plague of lizards. I ready my knife, bracing for the coming assault. The zombies converging on us are freshly turned. These are no leftovers from Roa's stock. She must have made them herself from the bodies of innocent people.
ノエル、あなたは。
With 3 spikes skewering her, Ciel glares at Noelle. One through her chest, another through her left arm, and a third one through her right thigh. Her voice betrays no hint of pain. As long as Roa exists, she is immortal. And besides, she's burning with rage. Rage at her former comrade in arms, which joined the very monster she swore to slay, slaughtered the very people she swore to protect.
3日かけて50人近くの兵隊を作ったわ。初めは加減がわからなくて殺しちゃったり壊しちゃったりしたけど、今はこの通
Oh,
り
that's it? There's only
一つ
50?
の
Alright,
村の
that's not
先
that
生
bad.
役。
I mean, it's not good, because she had to kill a lot more to get that 50, but...
なってみれば簡単よね。吸血鬼の生活なんて。軽く心をいじって抜け殻にしてあげれば、けなげで哀れな働きアリが一匹できるんだもの。
Yeah, you're like one of those, that Dead or Alive character that all the pedophiles like.
しかもギフトのおまけ付き。人間一匹の血を吸うだけで力も寿命も伸びるなんてチートすぎて笑っちゃうわ。
Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start, select, or select, start. I actually forget the Konami code off the top of my head. Like if it's BA or AB, and if it's start, select, or select, start. I used to know it because I had one of the Frogger games for the PS2, and I had to input it a lot because I was bad at that game and needed the 99 lives. The number of zombies is growing by the second. You've been completely surrounded in only a minute or so.
よくわかりました。経緯はどうあれ、あなたは吸血鬼になった。吸血鬼として生き延びるために私を殺しに来たのです
Yeah, I
ね。
was just waiting for you two to like tucker each other out, then come in swooping in at the end to dust off the winner. She doesn't twitch so much as an eyebrow. She yanks the blade out of her chest. I've seen that face enough tonight to know what it means. It's the mask of Executor Ciel, the one she wears when she's on the verge of tears. Their battle is only moments away. Now, this won't be a battle. It'll be an extermination. There's clearly no there's clearly no contest between them. Noelle's curse envelops her on a scale an ordinary human could only dream of. Her capabilities must be magnified by 10 or 20 times. Ciel is stronger than 20 Noelles. And her 7th Holy Scripture is optimized for killing vampires. Noelle might be rank 6, as strong as a dead apostle of common stock can get. But if things turn violent, she doesn't stand a chance.
まあそうなるわよね。あなたにとって吸血鬼は誰であれ殺すもの。
Yeah, but she's on like
そうでなくちゃ許されない。
vampire gear, so she's like fucking juice to the gills.
でもね、それなら私より先に殺すべき相手がいるんじゃないかしら。
Huh. Sounded like someone was starting up a boat propeller. But that can't be what it was. Weird. Ciel freezes. Noelle doesn't stand a chance in combat. She knows that, so she's trying to crush Ciel's spirit before this can come to blows.
私が吸血鬼かどうかなんて今は些細な問題でしょ。
I mean, kind of, yeah.
ねえシエル先輩、私たちよく語り合いましたよね。この命は復讐のために、ロアを殺すためなら何でもするって。だから見て、私はその誓いを守ったわ。
You might have taken a little too far.
あなたが
You
や
know,
ってく
road
れ
to
ない
hell
か
and
ら
all that.
私は自分からこうなった。一人じゃ何もできない私はロアを殺すために大嫌いな吸血鬼に生まれ変わるしかなかったのよ。
Alright, that's a little ham-fisted there, Noelle. You're kind of bad at this whole emotional manipulation thing.
つい
At least when you're dealing with people other than the horny teenagers that you can just, like, shake your body at and they go goo goo gaga and, like, head over heels.
そう全部あなたのせい。あなたがいつまでもふぬけてるからこうなった。ほら次はあなたの番よ。早く 殺して。そこの坊やを
Nah.
あなたの手で八つ咲きにしてみ
Never
せ
really
て。
liked you anyway. That's how girls that are friends with each other are. In an instant, the tables have turned. Ciel is frozen stiff, her will to fight gone. Her windpipe contracts in shock. She chokes out ragged breaths as her eyes dart between me and Noelle.
そうできないの。やっぱり嘘だったのね。何もかも嘘。あの涙も懺悔も開口もみんな嘘っぱちだった。そんなあなたが私を殺
Really, they weren't
す
lies then.
恥
It's
知
just
らずにも程があるわ。
priorities
誰
have
よりも
shifted
薄
in
汚い
interim.
犬畜生。お前なんかあの時死んでいればよかった。生きていること自体許されるはずがないんだから。
Damn, bitch, tell us how you really feel. Her insults fall like a rain of curses. I can't know what kind of past they share, but I won't listen to another word of her vitriol.
何好き勝手言わせてるんですか先輩。あいつは吸血鬼です。周りをよく見てください。
Pot meat kettle.
遠野くん。
Yeah, maybe you're not in the best position to be talking about this right now. You might short circuit her brain and she just turns on you. I step in front of Ciel, shielding her from Noelle's gaze. With knife raised, I stare up at my foe. My left arm is still a little stiff, but that aside, I feel stronger than ever. I'm hardly proud to admit it, but she's not the only one enjoying the benefits of vampiric physiology. Not psychology, physiology.
まだ四季くんが残っ
I
て
feel
る
like
んだ。
vampire psychology is like real bad
てっ
for
き
you,
りロア
actually.
に飲まれたと思ったのに。けなげに頑張るのね。君には恨みはないし、できるだけ楽に殺してあげようと思っていたんだけど。気が変わったわ。そいつをかば
I
った
mean, you
だ
didn't
け
really
で
make
イ
it
ラッ
quick
と
the
きちゃ
last
った。
time, so
あなたに
don't
も
really trust your words
生
on
き
that
地
one.
獄を味わってもらおうかしら。
You're pissed off. Oh, that makes two of
あん
us.
たが先輩をよく思っていなかったのも願いやしいことも知っていたけどさ。まさかここまで先輩を怖がってるとは思わなかったよ。
Mm-hmm. You know, any woman pushing 30 putting that on's got to be a little screwy in the head.
へえ、それどういう意味なのか教えてもらえる？
分かっていることをいちいち聞くな。戦うのが怖いからベラベラ喋って矛先を惑わしやがって。
Mm-hmm. That's how catty bitches fight.
大体あんたの目的は俺だろ。ロアを殺したいんなら俺を狙え。吸血鬼になり下がったあんたに先輩を責める資格はない。
Yeah.
吸血鬼になり下がった
I
私
mean,
に
sure,
責
Shiki
める
might
資格
be,
はない。
you know, pretty vampiric right now, but he hasn't actually committed any crimes against others, let's say. Because, sure, from the church's perspective, just being a vampire at all is a crime worthy of death. But, you know, putting that aside, you know, putting that one on the back burner, he hasn't hurt anyone else yet. Versus your kill count's probably pushing 3 digits. Every hair on the back of my neck stands bolt upright. Every back of my neck stands bolt upright. I guess. It seems a little redundant to say stands and then bolts upright, but I guess it's not bolts. It's stand bolt as in the bolt is straight. A bit of an odd sentence. I would have worded that differently myself. I sense that I've made a fatal misstep. The girl's mouth twists into a full-faced leer, like the devil's grin as his trap snaps shut.
ああ、そう。知らないんだ。四季君はその女が何をしてきたのか
Nope.
知らないんだ。
Ciel finally breaks her paralysis with a cry. She looks up at Noelle as though begging her not to continue, but the vampire only smiles.
なら直接見せてあげる。戦うのが怖いなんて笑わせるわ。だって戦う必要なんてないんだもの。
Sure.
人間を壊すことがどれほど造作もないことか身をもって教えてあげる。さあ、私の目の中にいらしてくださる？
Maybe don't look at the vampire's eyes. Oh god, her like Sharingan. For a moment, it seems nothing has happened. The attack I feared doesn't manifest. And I wasn't never looking away at her to begin with. Wasn't never. I don't like the double negative there. But her eyes burst into bloom. And just like that, the world goes mad. Roses. Endless roses as far as the eye can see. A sickly aroma clogs the air. The crimson sea seems to stretch on forever. And I, an insignificant speck adrift in its depths, am nothing but a pest in the garden.
ようこそ歓迎いたしますわ。これは快楽と背徳の園。この地上に存在する魔眼の中で最も美しく
Cool. What do your mystic eyes do?
最も醜悪と謳われたロズィアンの原理結界。
Okay. Petals scatter on the whispering wind. Bright color smothers my eyeballs. The stench of roses pervades my nostrils. Boundaries blur and bend. In this rosen world, a bewitching narcotic holds my every sense in thrall.
訪れた者には快楽、囚われた者には背徳。遊覧不乱の継ぎはぎモザイク。一夜ばかりの幻に終わらぬものなら不死の毒。手に手を取って夢の狭間に参りましょう。
Sensing danger, I try to run, but I lose myself in the storm of pebbles. My body and mind dissolve into endless roses. They strip away my identity and reduce me to a nameless actor, to be dropped into a page of someone else's story. But, ladies and gentlemen, this mystery story of Ciel's past, we'll have to wait until next time. Because it seems like this is going to take a while, and then there's got to be a fight with Noelle, and then da-da-da-da-da. You know, it'll drag on. And it is getting kind of late. It's almost 8 o'clock, so I need to process this video and get it up. So, with that, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and check out the Discord link in the description down below. And I will see you all next time for the next episode of Tsukihime Remake, where we will continue, I guess not really our fight with Ciel, but now our fight with Noelle. But that might happen after this trip down memory lane, or maybe it won't even happen at all. Who knows? Only way to find out for sure is to come back next time. So, catch you all later now. Bye-bye. Mwah.